Ladies and gentlemen, stress. It's a word we all know too well, but for Generation Z, it's not just a word, it's a constant companion. Born into a world of rapid change, technological overload, and unprecedented uncertainty, Gen Z has become the generation that carries the weight of the future on its shoulders. But here's the thing, they're not just surviving stress, they're redefining how to deal with it. Think about it. This is a generation that grew up with smartphones in their hands, social media at their fingertips, and a world that never stops moving. They've been told they can be anything, do anything, achieve anything, but at the same time, they're constantly reminded of the challenges they face: climate change, economic instability, mental health crisis, and a society that often feels fractured. The pressure is immense, and yet they're finding ways to cope, adapt, and even thrive. How? By leaning into their greatest strength, connection. Unlike previous generations, Gen Z doesn't just see stress as something to endure alone. They've turned to their communities both online and offline to share their struggles, seek support, and find solutions. They've created spaces where vulnerability is not a weakness but a strength. They talk openly about mental health, normalize therapy, and remind each other that it's okay not to be okay. In a world that often feels isolating, they've built bridges of empathy and understanding. But it doesn't stop there. Gen Z has also embraced a mindset of adaptability. They understand that the world is unpredictable, and instead of resisting that reality, they've learned to flow with it. They're masters of pivoting, whether it's switching career paths, learning new skills, or finding creative ways to solve problems. They don't wait for permission to innovate, they just do it. And in doing so, they've turned stress into a catalyst for growth. Yet, perhaps the most remarkable thing about how Gen Z deals with stress is their refusal to accept the status quo. They don't just cope, they challenge. They question outdated systems, demand accountability, and push for change. They've taken their stress and channeled it into action. Whether it's advocating for climate justice, fighting for equality, or redefining what success looks like. They've shown us that stress doesn't have to paralyze you, it can propel you. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean they have it all figured out. They're still human. They still struggle, still feel overwhelmed, and still face moments of doubt. But what sets them apart is their resilience. They've learned to embrace imperfection, to celebrate small wins, and to keep moving forward even when the path ahead is unclear. So what can we learn from Gen Z? That stress isn't the enemy, it's how we respond to it that matters. That connection, adaptability, and a willingness to challenge the norm can turn pressure into purpose. And most importantly, that no one has to face stress alone. Gen Z navigates a digital world where social media can be both a source of connection and immense pressure. Constant exposure to curated perfection, unrealistic beauty standards, and highlight reels can fuel comparison and anxiety. To counter this, many are actively creating healthier feeds by unfollowing toxic accounts, engaging with uplifting content, and prioritizing authenticity over perfection. Algorithms shape what users see, making conscious choices essential for mental well-being. Muting negativity, following pages that inspire, and limiting screen time help create a more balanced digital space. Shifting focus from validation to genuine engagement empowers Gen Z to regain control over their online experience. Stress is often seen as the enemy, of force that weighs us down, overwhelms us, and leaves us feeling powerless. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if we saw stress not as a barrier, but as a bridge to growth? For Generation Z, this mindset shift is already happening. They've learned to harness the energy of stress and use it as fuel to propel themselves forward. Think about it, stress is a signal. It's your body and mind telling you that something matters, that you care deeply about the outcome. Instead of running from it, Gen Z leans into it. They ask themselves, what is this stress trying to teach me? Whether it's the pressure to perform in school, the uncertainty of the job market, or the weight of societal expectations, they've learned to reframe these challenges as opportunities. They don't just survive stress, they thrive because of it. They use it to push their boundaries, to learn new skills, and to discover strengths they didn't know they had. When faced with a setback, they don't see failure, they see feedback. They adapt, innovate, and grow. Stress becomes the fire that forges resilience, the pressure that turns coal into diamonds. This generation understands that growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens in the messy, uncomfortable spaces where stress lies. By embracing stress as a catalyst, they've turned what could break them into what makes them stronger. They've shown us that stress isn't something to fear, it's something to leverage. Gen Z faces a unique blend of stressors, from academic pressures to social media expectations, often leading to anxiety and burnout. In the midst of this, physical health emerges as a powerful yet underrated tool for managing stress. Exercise is more than just a means to stay fit. It directly influences mental well-being by reducing cortisol levels, the hormone responsible for stress, and triggering the release of endorphins, which act as natural mood boosters. Even a short workout, whether it's a brisk walk, yoga, or weight training, can reset the mind and improve focus. Unlike previous generations, Gen Z has access to a vast range of fitness options, from interactive workout apps to online communities that promote movement in a way that feels less like a chore and more like a lifestyle. Sleep, hydration, and nutrition also play an essential role in maintaining mental clarity, as neglecting them often exacerbates stress levels. Many young people have started prioritizing holistic wellness routines, recognizing that a strong body supports a strong mind. The growing awareness around fitness and mental health connection has led to a cultural shift where taking care of oneself is no longer seen as optional, but as an essential strategy for resilience. At the end of a speech, I just want to say stress doesn't define you, it refines you. Let it shape you, not break you, into who you're meant to become. Hit the subscribe button and keep the motivation going to be a better person.